In this video, we will take a look at 1. Is Trump right about the WHO? And 2. What is China's involvement? So let's get to it. Earlier at a press conference, Trump said these words. We're going to put a hold on money spent to the WHO. We're going to put a very powerful hold on it, and we're going to see. Now he's talking about the money that America is spending every year and donating to the WHO. So why would he do such a thing? Is he reckless? Is he just being a reckless Trump? No, of course not. There's a reason behind it, and we're about to dive into it. The WHO is an organization under the umbrella of the UN. They take money from both China, from America, and a bunch of different other organizations and foundations. The problem that Trump had with the WHO is that they were unwilling to call the coronavirus a pandemic early on. So let's be clear, China is to blame for the coronavirus. When the back then mysterious viral pneumonia broke out in Wuhan, the Chinese government silenced the whistleblowers. Most people now know about the Dr. Li Wenliang, who tried to be the first whistleblower about the coronavirus. So Li began doing interviews with different newspapers, trying to warn everyone what was happening with the coronavirus. He was quickly silenced by the police to begin with, and when that didn't work, he conveniently got the coronavirus himself. And even though he was in perfect condition health-wise, he eventually died from the sickness. And of course, as we know now, the reluctance of the Chinese government in admitting that the coronavirus was on the loose and silencing everyone who tried to reveal the news to everybody else resulted in everyone not being prepared, the rest of the world not being prepared for the coronavirus when it would eventually spread out. Now fast forward 2 months and the pandemic has spread from country to country all over the world. China's, and in part WHO's reluctancy to call it a pandemic to begin with has left the world unprepared, and now, as we all know, it's everywhere. So why wouldn't the WHO call this a pandemic as it was in the beginning already? As the headline reads from New Scientist, why won't the WHO officially declare a coronavirus pandemic? Now that's a really good question. Could it have been anything to do with the fact that China is influencing the WHO? We'll get back to that in just a second. So this is where President Trump comes into the picture. Now, President Trump has a powerful sway over the WHO, partly due to the funding the US sends every year to the WHO. Let's read here from the news article from BBC. How is the WHO funded? Let's read from here. The US government is the largest of these voluntary contributors, accounting for just under 15% of WHO funding in 19. But the next biggest was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, making up nearly 10% of funding. Other countries which made significant voluntary contributions in 19 include the UK and Germany. In total, this means that the WHO is funded by the US government, the UK, and the Bill Gates Foundation. Almost 35%. That's a lot of money coming from America and her allies. And here's a key number in the article. It is worth adding that the US also owes the WHO most in terms of mandatory contributions. Figures from March in 20 show that the US still had more than $99 million in outstanding payments, much more than anyone else. As we go through this, try to remember that Trump is trying to fight an economic war on one side with China, and they're dealing with an organization, the WHO, who seems to follow the whims of China. They won't release information at the right time to prepare other countries for the pandemic, So Trump has kept these $100 million, which is very important for the WHO. He has kept them in his own pocket so far because he's in doubt whether or not the Chinese government has gained too much influence into the WHO. Oh, and by the way, what's the number one priority for the mission statement of the WHO? Let's check. Works worldwide to promote health, keep the world safe. Keeping the world safe is not going great. So it just seems at this point that Trump is thinking, which is better, to give the $100 million to an organization that's not willing to call China out for its genuine problems, or to take that $100 million and treat our own financial problems right now. I think it's difficult to blame a president who would rather reserve the money for his own people, but it will have some ramifications in the future. Right now on the world stage, we live in a weird time where it seems like where America is withdrawing, the Chinese government, the CCP, is advancing. This is true for almost every area of life. Entertainment, Hollywood has been known to take orders from the Chinese government. A vast amount of countries in Africa are beginning to gain more and more infrastructure, all funded by the Chinese government. So the question is, if America is withdrawing from the WHO, if they're withholding funds, then the Chinese government seem more than willing to step in and overtake that position, that vacuum that the American government left. Let's read an article from the New York Times. China's influence at the WHO is growing. China's leader Xi Jinping has made it a priority to strengthen Beijing's clout at international institutions, including the WHO, seeing the American-dominated global order as an impediment to his country's rise to a superpower. China contributes only a small fraction of the WHO's $6 billion budget, while the United States is one of its main benefactors. But in recent years, Beijing has worked in other ways to expand its influence at the organization. So I can't help to feel that the question behind all of these articles is, how much power should the Chinese government be allowed to gain, further establishing its dominion in different countries? And at this point, what can be done about it? We all know how the news hammer Trump every time he goes into any kind of confrontation financially with China. He doesn't have it easy when it comes to standing up for his own country or going against the Chinese interest across the world. One thing's for sure, there's some serious 3D chess being played here, and things are a lot more complicated than they look on the surface of all of these different articles. Well, that's it for now, folks. I hope you liked the video. Please comment in the video section. If you have any thoughts on the video, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Otherwise, have a good day. Bye.